Hey friends, welcome back. So today I just got a very cool box that I have been looking for an excuse to buy for a couple of years now. So this is the Radial JDI Duplex. I worked at a club for a long time that had one of these, and every opportunity that I had to pull this thing out of the drawer and use it, I always did. And when I was researching some stereo direct boxes, I kind of came back to this one, and I realized that there are no videos on the internet that show anything about this box that I think are really cool. So I figured I would make a little video showing how this thing works. So here is the huge, gigantic radial box that this thing comes into. We're going to pull this thing apart. Shove that over there. We've got our manual here. The obligatory radial stickers that are designed to go on Pelican cases and work boxes. And here it is, the Radial JDI Duplex. So I worked at a club for a while that had one of these, and I would only use it with difficult clients. Or I should say difficult performers, because it's so big and intimidating that I felt like if anybody was being sort of difficult, I could pull this thing out and it would be like, oh, look at this fancy special thing that's that we're working with. So this is actually the newer version. This is the Rev 2. The original JDI that the club had didn't have a lot of these features that this one has. So going over what this thing does have. This is a stereo direct boxes. So if you think about it, it's two technical direct boxes in one. Feature set on the front here. We'll go over this in a second, but it does have RCAs and an 1/8 inch mini plug right here. And then on the other side, you have output, input, in and through ×2. So one of the reasons why I selected this particular direct box is that you have a bunch of different connections here, be it RCA, 1/8 inch, and XLR in and out plus 1/4 inch. So if you're using this box as, if nothing else, an adapter, if you need to go to any specific gender or connector type, you can, which is pretty sweet. So if you think about it as, okay, so it's a stereo direct box, it's two direct boxes in one, that explains the size, right? But on the front here, it does have some cool things. You have got this sum to mono button right here, which is really cool. So if you've got say, for example, you have a stereo source like an iPod or something like that that you're connected to on the XLRs, and you have a mono PA, instead of collapsing two channels on your console down into one, you can do it at the box here. So all you have to do is just get a screwdriver or something like that and sum that to mono, which is really nice. The other thing you have is a pad, a 15 dB pad. If you're working with not a I don't want to say a pro console, but something that doesn't have a phase. You can't flip the polarity on the channel. So if like I'm looking at my little shop Soundcraft console right now, and I can't flip phase on anything. So if you're dealing with something like that you need to, say, take a mic on a guitar, on acoustic guitar, and a direct box signal on an acoustic guitar, you can run both of those things through here, and invert the polarity if you need to. Pin 1 lift. And then you also have this XLR select right here, which activates the input XLR. So there's the line in input here. So if you want signal to come through here as an input, say as making your outputs either RCA or mini 1/8 inch, you can do that with just this button right here that activates that. And then you have both of those things ×2. So on the back here, this is a regular output for a direct box. So, if you're plugging, like, say, a bass in, you plug your bass in right here for the input. The output goes to the console, and the through goes to your amp. Right? Basic stereo direct box. But the thing that is cool about this particular box is you can mult things within it. So it's its own little mixer before your mixer. So, say, for example, if you have two stereo keyboards and you don't have enough inputs at your console, you can sum them together here. You can run your inputs in the actual input side and mult inputs into the through right here and use just a separate output. If you have two guitars, kind of thing like that. I've run into situations where Whirlwind makes a box called a combiner. I've run into limitations with channel counts at shows where the guitar player is going to play an acoustic guitar, but it's only for one song. You can do some cool things with this to split your inputs, A and B inputs. If you've got guitar main, guitar backup, guitar main's always going to be in, and you need guitar backup, you can use these to physically mult your inputs, which is pretty cool. This box also is cool because it's got some threaded, these are just press nuts into the side here, so they do make a rack mount kit for this. So there's just these little boxes that go onto the side, and then there are ears that attach to that. So if you want to rack mount this box, you can. But having something in your work box that gives you an 1/8 inch input and or RCAs, I mean, I can't tell you the last time that I've seen something with RCA, but if you think about it, just having that ability to have this all in one box, you don't have to have barrel adapters or turnarounds or any of that kind of stuff, is really a big deal. Especially, if you're dealing with shows that are playback shows or corporate AV, or you never know what someone is going to give you, to say, hey, hook this up to the, the PA system. And it also just depends on what you have in your work box. Even if you do have a turnaround that can make, say, 1/8 inch work, you might be using it for something else. So just to give yourself, something that has RCA inputs here is a really big deal. So I really like Radial boxes a lot. I own a ton of them. I'm not sponsored by them in any way, shape, or form. It is just a product that I genuinely like. Neutrik is the same thing. So if you're watching my videos, I definitely take apart a lot of Radial products, and I also use Neutrik connectors. I mean, I'm not sponsored by them in any way. It's just something that I really like as far as a product. So if you're watching my videos as a way to research equipment or things that I like, if it's worth it to you to see something that I like, maybe you'll like it too. So Radial boxes generally have this, I believe that they call it a bookend design. So this is actually a little stuck. All right, so here's the guts, right? So not only does this thing take 12 screws to take apart, here are the guts of this particular box. So you've got two really big, nice Jensen transformers that are in here, and you can see just how nice everything is built. So I said before, Radial calls it a bookend design. So you've got this piece right here, and this just sort of sandwiches in here, just like this. Radial also makes a cool thing called a J-clamp. It doesn't necessarily work with this one because it's too big, but it is a device that replaces this with a piece that slides over, and it has mounting tabs right here. So I do a lot of installs for specifically touring applications. So I used Radial direct boxes a lot. Just as splitters and line isolators and things like that. And that little J-clamp aspect is cool because I absolutely will use that to mount things in portable systems. It's very, very cool. So looking at the box here, just like this, you can see that there's just some little standoffs that are down in here that separate this, the PCB here from the chassis itself. I don't know how easy those are to take off. They're just threaded in here, which is really nice. There's no nut to lose. So I was reading the instruction manual again before I just decided to take the plunge to buy this. It's just something that I do. I would highly recommend that if you're looking to buy a product of any variety, you read the manual first. That's just something that I do in my own weird OCD world. But one of the things that you can do is you can take these buttons off. These little push buttons, they can come off, which is kind of cool. I never thought about doing that, but they say in the radio manual that if you've got a tour or something like that, where you set the same settings all the time, you can pop these guys off, so that the ground is always lifted, or the pad's always in, or the phase is always flipped. Which I think is pretty cool. So as far as durability goes in here, this is pretty cool. It's a pretty simple design, but it's pretty neat just as far as layout goes. I like when circuit boards are printed with what they are. It says JDI Duplex on there, which I think is pretty cool. One of my favorite things about taking the Midas console apart is that all the Midas boards have the Midas logo on there. So anyway, I know this is a stupid video. I just wanted to take this thing apart and show you how just the guts of this particular DI. Little boxes like this, I get really excited about. Anything that's a little Swiss Army knife problem solver kind of thing is always right up my alley. I think a sound system in general is the sum of all of its parts, and a lot of little parts like this really do go unnoticed until you need them. So getting a high quality direct box, I don't know that direct boxes really sound any different. I mean, there's certainly a differential between outputs and inputs. I've used a lot of direct boxes. I used Whirlwind Imps for years. So it's a totally fine direct box. But having something like this, I also think it should be said that if you're gonna carry a direct box in your kit, make it something unique. Any sound company is going to have a regular direct box. They're probably going to have a stereo direct box. But the direct boxes that I carry in my own personal work box are, I use the Radial Pro AV1, which is essentially this. It has 4 RCA inputs, a mini TRS 1/8 inch. Sorry, I don't know where I could think of that. And then an XLR in and out with 1/4 inches. So you can use it as a regular direct box. You can use it as a multimedia direct box. But it sums a stereo signal into mono, which is often very important back in the day when we used power amps. And every PA wasn't in stereo, so that was a big deal. And the other thing that I carry is the JPC DI, which is another Radial product that is specifically designed for line level sources like a laptop or a CD player or an iPod or something like that to interface with a PA system. I also carry a piezo DI, a Radial piezo DI for acoustic guitars and things like that. The problem solver kind of thing. So you see where I'm going with this as I'm ranting in my normal overcaffeinated way. Carry something that's unique. I carry 4 or 5 DIs in my kit. This will maybe for $300 this solves all those problems. It really is a nice problem solving box. If you're doing a gig with a backpack, this is something that you should maybe consider carrying with you, because it'll solve some problems. Anyway, if you have any specific questions about this particular box, I'm happy to test it in any way, shape, or form to show you its functionality. I know we talked a little bit about the malting of putting stereo signals in and summing them down to mono. Happy to show you a video about that. If you have any questions, as always, just let me know. Happy to make a video on whatever you want. Thanks for stopping by. Hope everybody has a great day. Thanks so much.